And the way that you hold people up is by planning in advance to have the backs of those that are going to be held up. I spoke about that in my last video, so I won't expand too deeply and too intensely. All up in that, I'm easy girl. But what I will say is that, what do you call this thing? Yes, because of the importance, therefore, of taking care now of people in a way that you just didn't. Like, now this time around, finally, it's a trial run for true Christianity. You made people apostatize. You made people get so much church hurt that they broke away from the church. I mean, if it, like, you know, the Mike Todd church that told that girl that, sorry, you don't qualify because you have not given enough tithes to justify us paying however many dollars of rent per month for you. Yeah, that chick was endured through church hurt, and that's the kind of thing that can cause a person to be like, I God, you're not God. I'm out in a church tithing my hard-earned money, and then they tell me that I don't qualify when I finally claim under basically church support. When I try to get the church to enable my cause along, I sort of know people are actually walking away from Jesus altogether because of crazy Christians. Well, those crazy Christians are not going to be left behind right next to all the people that they caused to deconstruct Christianity. All the people that they caused to deconstruct Christianity. All the people that they caused to walk away from church. All the people that they caused to walk away from Jesus are now going to realize that, whoa, I made a mistake. I was supposed to hold on to Christ, but throw out the bathwater. I was supposed to throw out the irresponsible human beings that are not honoring God's word, but not God himself. The Lord then, upon being merciful in Jacob's trouble, will then call back the prodigal apostate that deconstructed Christianity because her pastor refused to help her pay rent for 4 months when she was in the church for 4 years tithing 10,000 rands every month, but apparently didn't qualify. God will bring that person back in, and this time around, this person will not easily slip out of Christianity, because of random irresponsible Christians, but also will there be no room allowed anymore for irresponsible Christians to be that thing, because literally you don't have the luxury. This is a horrible time. You don't have the luxury to be careless pertaining your fellow man. So the thing that I gave counsel concerning trafficking drugs, it doesn't cut. The Bible says that the Lord has sent us out as sheep among wolves. Therefore be innocent as a dove, though shrewd as a snake. It is being shrewd as a snake to traffic antibiotics and to traffic ARVs, etc., whatever might be medication needed, okay? Because you are anticipating a police state and a martial law and a systematic oppression. You are anticipating a systematic oppression that is going to ask of you to make like that teenage girl that refuses to go to a seance with the parents because she's converted to Christ. You anticipate, seeing as the rapture has happened, that they're going to eventually come up with laws, establish laws that are going to say in order to get ARVs, you must take the mark of the beast. So then in foreseeing that time coming, when then you break the current law by trafficking those drugs, you're doing so in order to honor God later. The same way that that child disregards parents' instruction to go to a seance. Because it's not that I'm trying to disobey you as my mom and dad. It's that insofar as you are flagrantly blasphemous and rebellious against God, I cannot follow you. The governments of this world are going to be ridiculous. So you have got to amass for yourselves trucks upon trucks like you be Pablo Escobar. In the tires of those trucks, of which instead of it being cocaine is ARVs, and you must travel them over to wherever you need to travel them, so people don't pass away from full-blown AIDS in the wilderness. Because like I said, when nobody cares about you, to listen to a person writhing, reeling, complaining, wheezing, coughing, choking, struggling, when in and of yourself you've got your own kind of choke, your own kind of wheeze, your own kind of writhing, your own kind of struggling. Everybody's going through hell on earth, and it's gonna be so hard to be compassionate and have the back off. Be compassionate over and have the back of, and be merciful to people that are literally in hospice care. They're dying from late stages of cancer. They're dying from full-blown AIDS. They're dying from a perfectly treatable cough. They're dying from this, that. You're gonna have to take care of those that will inevitably die because there's nothing you can do. You've tried everything, but you need to minimize the number of people you have to take care of, because it's gonna be hard enough to take care of yourself. It's gonna be hard enough to be compassionate. It's gonna be hard enough to be godly in your own flesh, pertaining your own works. So when then you have to one another, you have to limit how burdensome one anothering is going to be. And the way that you limit how burdensome one anothering is going to be is by trying to make sure that there's enough medication in the camp for flus, coughs, scratches, aches, pains. There's enough disinfectant. there's enough this and that. You need to establish camps that are going to successfully take care of as many people as possible. Some will inevitably die, like for instance with cancer patients. There are certain things that you need to be in an actual hospital to deal with. So some you will have to watch just wither from a disease taking them away. That's why the Bible says if it is to pestilence, you must go to pestilence. But treatable stuff like like I said, flus, coughs, cuts, stuff that needs bandaging, infections that need antibiotics. If you can, that stuff will significantly reduce the amount of burdensome one another that you will have to do. Hunger is something that everybody must necessarily go through, and everybody must pull their weight to try and eradicate the hunger of the next man. Sickness it's on another level. Like if your body is sick and you are dying, so now there's no room for being namby-pamby, no room for but my emotions, no room for what's going on. Y'all need to be in a state of mind almost robotically, that insofar as it's not a matter of life and death, I gotta shut up, I gotta straighten up, I gotta fly right, I cannot burden anyone. Insofar as it's not a matter of life and death, I cannot complain about it. I cannot grumble, I cannot moan, I cannot groan, I cannot lament. I just gotta ride it out. And if at all you're living in a camp full of healthy people but who smell, because halitosis, BO, vaginal issues, penile issues, scaly scalps, smells that you don't even know what is that. Like what is that? Fart, the nearby site where y'all poop, when then the wind blows a certain direction, everybody smells it. The fact that people will have to go do the number 2, and at some point not be able to wipe, at least not with toilet paper. You might try a leaf, and so if you can't properly wipe, you're gonna be you know what it's like when a baby has out just done a thing in its diapers. You're like, woo, hi Joe, and you hold the baby like that. Hold the baby like it's pegged on a washing line. Yeah, this time around it's people that you're gonna have a conversation with, keeping a straight face, knowing that they smell like manure. They smell like feces, and you're having a conversation with them with a straight face without letting them know that you smell like poop. Wipe yourself. Right now, when a person smells like poop, you can be like, please take a shower, I can't deal. Right now, when a person has a bad breath, be like, dude, when last did you brush your teeth? Right now, when a person smells mufufuzo, you can just say, take a shower, dog, like wangha, mufufuzo. Like, what's with the bad hygiene? Then you're gonna have to be mature. You're gonna have to be mature and deal with a person's mufufuzo stank. I'm not talking to you about, we need to go and try and see if we can't pick fruit from that tree, and bad breath. You're just gonna have to basically do what you can to guess, when a person's got a bad breath, and don't say anything. Take it in your stride and hail it like it's roses, but you don't get to mention that because literally who doesn't? Who doesn't? Yena ungamolomo, wena unga nether regions. When yena ungamolomo, wena ungamulala. Right here at the back and stank. Ungamolomo, wena ungamiriri. Ungamolomo, wena makwapa. You're gonna have to deal with people's stenches, and you're gonna have to watch beautiful women become kind of unseemly overnight. You're going to have to watch everything that can droop and fall start to droop and fall. People age at record speeds in this small little season, and keep quiet. No more complaining about, oh, my back is sore. Stuff that you must just keep mum about. It's sore, but what can we do for you, girl? Nothing. There's nothing we can do. Your back is sore. You can't see a chiropractor. You can't see an orthopedic surgeon. You can't see a surgeon at all. You can't see a masseuse. Seeing as there's no solution to what you're complaining about, don't complain. Headaches, swallow them, because a lot of times headaches that in the tribulation are going to be caused by things like hunger, lack of thirst, and a lot of stress. You can't keep popping pain meds for headaches. You can't keep taking a grandpa every time you have a headache, because it's gonna come back given that your extenuating conditions have been maintained. Your hunger is maintained, your thirst is maintained, so too is your exorbitant stress. So if you deplete all those pain meds, when then there is the kind of pain that, for instance, a person falls and breaks their bone. When a person has that kind of pain and all the pain meds are gone because of your headache, goodness, you are selfish on that day. You've literally depleted pain meds for someone that actually needed pain meds. Someone that really, really had a problem. And then, of course, there is the issue with addiction. There's the issue with addiction. You who have a headache, every time you make a decision that you want to go and pop a grandpa, because there's like storehouses of grandpa available from the beginning of the tribulation, you will end up making like Karabo and eating grandpa like it's sherbet because of the stress in your body. until one day it starts to become a low-key addiction. I told you guys that I had to stop. I had to discipline myself to stop drinking grandpa. Because in the beginning of my sorrow, I got these headaches, like so many headaches because of my life. My situation was very stressful. And so I took a grandpa every single time. That stress would roar like a lion all up in my bones. I took a grandpa. And then I noticed that every morning when I wake up, I have a headache. Every afternoon when I'm just walking around, I have a headache. Every night, I have a headache. And I just continued to take a grandpa every single time I had a headache. Until now, every last pain in my body, because it's mixed with emotional pain too, I'm using grandpa to deal with it. Now, if you don't know this, not that you should know this information, it might even make you do strange things, but I'm going to share it anyway. Grandpa does have power indeed to eradicate pain. It's an analgesic, but it also is an upper. It can improve your mood. I don't know what's in it that improves mood. Maybe it's caffeine. I don't know. I started to notice that after taking grandpa, I also feel slightly better emotionally. So now I basically was honing into grandpa for both emotional relief briefly, right next to, of course, whatever physical pain is in my body. And that then made it such that I was now taking grandpa every day, once or twice a day. And this was happening for years, no matter the cramps. Grandpa, when you just keep taking it, you end up getting these cramps more maling. It's quite harsh. You're not supposed to take it for extended periods of time. Despite those cramps, I carried on taking it because I was gunning for the alleviation of pain, and I was also gunning for the temporary euphoria that it gave me. Essentially, I was actually low-key becoming a junkie for grandpa. Until recently, God gave me conviction that you're using this recreationally, or it appears you are no longer reasonable with how you take it. I will not give you grief if you take pain meds because you've got period pains or a violent headache. But human beings have random silly pains here and there, all the day long, all the time long. You don't see them just taking a pill every time. Every time you feel some kind of a prick on your back, a prick on your forehead, a prick on your cheek, you are just taking pain meds, you're going to end up with an addiction to pain medication. And when you develop an addiction to pain medication, the pain then sometimes comes just because it wants medication, and not so much because it actually is there. So maybe it's a phantom made up pain, but you develop an addiction. And we all know there are way too many people on earth addicted to pain meds. And God was like, yes, then Karabo, I'm not mocked, ne? You're not going to be using grandpa to gain euphoria first and foremost. You also are not going to take grandpa for every small little knob of pain that can disappear after 20 minutes of ignoring it. You only take meds when you need them. Because I remember even in my mind trying to justify taking grandpa to God by saying diabetics are on medication every day, so are people with HIV. And God was like, they need that medication to be healthy. You don't. It's just sherbet. If you want sherbet, go to Pick and Pay and buy sherbet and eat sherbet because it's food, but you don't get to make grandpa food. I was like, your point taken, rebuke, embraced, and I dropped grandpa like a hot potato. Taking it only when, you guys can endure some crazy headaches all up in my grill. When a headache is so ridiculous that it feels ingati, somebody is shooting me time and time again, I'll take a grandpa, or maybe even two. And when these headaches, these headaches that are induced by the occult, the other day, I literally, ingati, like imagine somebody grabbing, give me a coin. I don't have a coin right now here. But something it's fine, I can use this USB code. Back here. I literally felt something, almost like a hand, grab something like this, stringy, but like a coin, and just put it there at the back. Something spiritual. Immediately afterwards of which, this thing upon being put there in the spirit, I then get this like, sharp headache. Just coursing like a lightning strike up and down this area. I literally could feel, almost like sense spiritually, something coming and putting it there. But at that stage, I'd already stopped taking grandpa unnecessarily. There was a time when stuff like that, when it happened, I'm not just standing up to go and grab grandpa. The Lord convicted me same time. He was like, it's spiritual. It's just been placed there by base. They posted it there almost like a bulletin, like a note on a bulletin board. They just stuck it there. And if they stuck it there spiritually, honey, you can unstick it spiritually. Just pray for a couple of hours and see if this headache doesn't go away. And lo and behold, I carried on praying. I was already in prayer. That thing was put there because they're trying to put me on grandpa. And you see, that's the thing. When you've got that kind of compromise, your prayers get hindered, right? That was the intention of that whole affliction of my person. I pray, I carry on praying. Like I move to my eye. Like, that headache that I'll be pulsating more lihlong. I move out lihlong. I was like, maybe it's trying to find a portal to exit my body. I refused. Grandpa. Lo and behold, after about an hour, so maybe all I needed to do was cry it out. Because every so often when I'm in prison worship, whatever was, am I feeling? If it's in it started there, traveled to my eye, and then poof, it disappeared. After enough prayer, And God was like, look at you conquering, hey? Look at you being more than a conqueror. And look at you a couple of weeks ago going on to take a grandpa for that random spiritual matter that you could have dealt with by just simply praying. And it will go away. The Lord will give you discernment to be able to know when something is spiritual. But anyway, the whole conversation that I entered into it to help you understand that, what do you want to call this? Things like headaches. You need to teach yourselves to basically take them in your stride and trust that when you wake up the next morning, they'll be gone. Because a lot of times they're spiritual and also they're attached to stress. And one thing that eradicates stress, I spoke to you guys about it in my other videos because I keep on sharing all these nuggets. Eradicate stress with praise and worship, music, singing, dancing. It goes a long way. And when you share your testimonies, when you speak about your experiences, when you basically exchange notes and you laugh, it has power to conquer for just 24 hours. That's why God says that take up your cross daily and follow Jesus, deny the flesh, and follow him daily. He also says, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Seek ye first the kingdom and his righteousness, and everything else will be added to you. Every single morning, you will have some kind of sorrow. Every time when I wake up, I have sorrow. The Lord calls it morning sickness, like that in pregnancy. He calls what I go through every single morning when I wake up morning sickness. Because I conquer through the day, through whatever strategies I employ in order to survive the sorry life that I am living. And by the time I go to bed, I'm right as rain. I've got like a whole itinerary, I have a schedule. And within the schedule, all day long, it's like gathering for myself currency. Like, you know, in the, not board game, but video game. These video games that are to be gobbling fruit. It's going through a layer and it gobbles fruit, and gets bigger. Gobbles fruit, gobbles fruit, and gets bigger. Yeah, a daily walk in Christ, especially when you're going through tribulation, is like that video game. But unlike that video game, you get bigger and bigger until you're so healthy that you move on to the next level, right? The next level of which then you're gonna have to start from scratch and gobble fruit in order for you to grow big again. But your resources get depleted by seasons within which the devil can sow doubt, can sow sorrow, can sow unbelief. And there is no better space for Satan to sow all that calamity than when you're sleeping, because it's dream space, and it's the space where you're quiet, you're not praying, you're not communing with God, you're not actively thinking about God, but you are basically at the mercy of suggestion. When you're sleeping, you're at the mercy of suggestion. During the day, when a nasty thought comes from the devil, you can be like, get behind me, Satan. But when you're sleeping and that thought is planted, or that idea is planted, that deed is planted, you have to wake up and eradicate it by basically saying, I rebuke you, Satan, get behind me, I disagree, for this is what Christ has to say about me. Now, the immediate ability to be able to brush off wicked suggestion enables you to quickly overcome. But if that wicked suggestion has been getting planted all night, 8 hours, yonk, when you're sleeping, how much more sweeping do you have to do in the morning? And when you are going through a lot, when you're going through way too much, you're already sad because of the way too much that you're going through. That sadness piled on top of it, all the suggestions in your dreams, the trash they dumped in your spirit, do you understand, while you slept. If you don't make like more than a conqueror and essentially establish a routine or a schedule to all throughout the day just sweep out that gunk and that junk until once you get to evening, you're right as rain, you're healthy again, you're swaying on a hammock, left to right, you're peachy. If you don't work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, if you don't work to recover lost ground, if you don't work to recover yourself to health, if you don't work to conquer that morning sickness, you will sleep depressed. And the sad thing about sleeping depressed is that you struggle to sleep first and foremost, and the devil will just keep planting. So you have a daily prerogative in that sleep space. You have a daily prerogative to get to the end of your days joyful. Get to the end of the night joyful. So that when the devil just strips all that out of you, all throughout your sleep space, you're starting with a clean slate the next morning instead of the burden of yesterday carrying over, bringing down like an accounting ledger to the next morning. Don't let it come into the next morning. That's how I have survived 10 years of attrition, sorrow, neglect, abandonment, carelessness on the part of people, apathy against me. Just as a masochistic and Machiavellian way of looking at a human life, like a carelessness essentially. I've mentioned that, apathy. Yeah, I have survived people not giving a rat's behind about me. I have survived it by coming up with my own currency, my own way of surviving, my own way of finding joy. And like I said, routine works. There was a time when I used to work out. It went a long way, but these days I have not been working out because, again, sorrow, attrition, my life is just getting worse, okay? Attrition, sorrow, abuse, abandonment, mistreatment got so bad that I literally I did not have the strength for exercise, and now I have not worked out literally for months, to a point where I think it's about a year now. I was a gym bunny, like fit. My muscles are soft again. However, if you can within yourselves find it to exercise, do so. And the thing about exercise is in the beginning, when you start, you can't because you're so burdened with sorrow. But give it 20 minutes and you will gain euphoria. Work out to gospel music, whatever it is that you can. Get those old school cassette tapes or those old school CD players and download music on there. And that work with batteries and essentially play worship music there and work out to it. Okay, nothing electronic, you get my point. Nothing at all that can be pinged into by some strange little satellite. Yeah, you can get stuff like that. Get stuff like that all up in your camps, and so you will then be able to get instrumentals to your music, etc. You get my point. But yeah, if you can exercise. If you're not a gym person, there's still a way to survive. All right. And again, exercise, doing it when there's barely any food might not be that healthy for you, but in the beginning, when you still have quite a bit to eat every single day, then I guess you can work out, you can jog, do whatever. Exercise releases endorphins in the body that are God's antidepressant. So it went a long way for me personally, but there came a time when I was too persecuted to carry on working out. Okay, and when then that happened, again, I found other ways to survive. My routine, the chat sessions, talking, to get stuff off my chest. That works a great deal. Listening to people with similar experiences, and if you hang out with each other in these camps, you're going through it together. I always say to myself, when about the tribulation, the rapture, when it happens, and I envisage that which people are going to go through, all I can say is at least they have each other. That's something I don't have. Company with other people with whom we can be together like they're there. I've been made to survive alone, with no one being able to relate except maybe for 1 or 2 videos on YouTube that I can watch and be like, oh, I guess I'm not alone. But in terms of actual friends, in terms of actual friend or an actual person that adores me, Asham, betrayal, left, right, and center, every person with whom I have fellowshipped, which is why I'm doing this video. Every person with whom I have fellowshipped in this season has betrayed me and persecuted me later on. They've all proven to be apostate, not the real deal. They've all, and I mean without even a single exception, proven to be inauthentic. They have passed me shade. Some of them have even used witchcraft on me, etc. However, during the season when we were chatting, exchanging notes, there was so much euphoria in me, so much peace from just one person, one saint. One human being enabled me to feel like I can overcome the world. I can overcome this, I'm fine. Insofar as I have this sister, I'm good. Insofar as I have this brother, I'm good. Insofar as every so often I get, encouragement on my shoulder, I'm good. And then they go awry. With the sisters, it's always jealousy. Below the belt, they go awry, they get cold later on. And then they stabbed me in the back. One used witchcraft. There's another that just walked away from me when she found out that the job that I thought I had, I didn't get it because my cousin gave me a job and then rescinded. And she just walked away. And she just stopped talking to me, essentially because she didn't want anybody that was poor like me. Like I said, bye-bye that time of such shallow Christianity as that. Like, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. You're not going to be able to not want to hang out with a person because no more are you going to be able to look at yourself as better off or in a much more lofty position than another man. You will be equalized. Do you understand? Yeah, another one, like I said, used witchcraft on me. And in the witchcraft, she was insisting that I never ever come up for air, I never be okay, that I will only ever end up working at a wimpy as a waitress. And then there was one who was a lesbian, Archer trying to slide into my life that way, stealthily. Had to cut her off, and she was also passing me shade. And then the men, right? Those are the women. The men, oh my goodness, the men, things that men do. The men start out saying sister, 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 but it becomes clear later on that they want more from me. There's a lot of flirtation. There is just inappropriateness with communicating with me. There is an irritation that I can sense, that I can pick up in them when it becomes clear that this is not going to result in a relationship. Yeah, a type setup thing. So, yeah, and out of the guys that have been all up in my grill with that, 2 of them used Korobela on me. The one was a guy in America and then some other little Gen Z child. Okay? And after enough guys pulled stunts on me or went cold because it became clear I was not gonna jola with them. When it became clear that I was not gonna jola with them, I then made a decision never again to respond to men when they write me, because they always go awry in the same fashion. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Women, I still have opened my floodgates too, but ever since this random lackluster freaky Madimabi rando at YouTube did what she did to me, I can't even be contacted by women. I can't be contacted by sisters with whom I can fellowship. I can no longer have any company at all. And so all I think to myself when I think about some of the things you're going to go through in the tribulation is, at least you'll have each other. At least you'll have each other, because it goes a long way. Fellowship with other people goes a long way. I have not had it, but my situation is, like I said, mild in comparison to yours. So I am self-comforting. I'm self-edifying. I use YouTube to conquer. This work that I do is like I'm speaking to actual people. I get myself buried and inundated in work and the work of the cross. And then, of course, there is my recently acquired most feverish and most bountiful afflictor of darkness and of bad thoughts and of nasty whatevers that happens. It's, like I said, worship music right next to all night praying. Worship music in my ear is jubilating. It adds so much joy to me that I literally, nothing compares to it. And I don't know why I underestimated it for so long, which is why I keep on recommending it. Not only should you sing it and dance to it, but you should just meditate through it when you are, what do you call this thing? Reading the Bible. If you can have an instrumental of worship music just playing in the background, it'll enable you, I believe, to even consume that word better. I edit with an instrumental of worship music going. My thumbnails, the ones on Canva, I do them to worship instrumentals. Yeshua Adonai or Oceans, whatever. That's just going. Yeah, and then of course praying. Praying is beautiful, but praying can be onerous. Praying can be hard to do. Praying can be, it can feel boring. It can feel like you're not getting anything through unless you plug into the spirit with hotness. Then you just get taken over by a tsunami and you can't even watch the hours go. And there's nothing that plugs you into the spirit, at least from my own personal experiences, nothing that plugs you into the spirit to a point of not even seeing time passing more than worship music. So therefore, if you pray with worship music playing, you can push hours of prayer. You can push hours of prayer in this state and tapelo. Make no mistake, guys. I said in my videos before that tribulation is the worst time in history. And in this tribulation, there is no breakthrough for Christians. You're not going to win a lawsuit because you pray. You're not going to get a husband because you prayed for one. This is no longer the time for answered prayer. It is a time for persevering, and it is a time for priority. You prioritize salvation and not so much life matters, life's issues. It is when the things of this world get strangely dim. Not even strangely, overtly dim, because if the world is literally, the sky is falling, but the value of this world is significantly dwindled by landslides upon yards upon kilometers. And so therefore, no more, at least you ought not be, I would hope you're not that shallow. Yeah, no more are people anymore praying for things like, please help my business along, help me get this along, help me that, help me the other. This time around, it's peace. This time around, it is praying for strength to endure. It is praying to not get caught, praying to survive, praying to enter God's rest. Don't let me fall apart. It is prayers for righteousness and for protection and for strength. No more for cars, jobs, babies, and husbands. So therefore, when you have that kind of context in your mind, when you understand yourself as one that is in danger all the time, like it is written, is it in 2 Corinthians 4, your prayers then start to become desperate, and your prayers that are desperate and feverish when you're righteous like that avail much. And the kinds of enablements that you are going to need in the wilderness when you are running away from the Antichrist system are supernatural. You are, like I said, no longer praying for cars, pet dogs, new husbands, and job promotions. This time around, you're praying for basic survival. So if you get into a feverish all-night praying spree because you ran out of food, it might be availed to you like manna from heaven. There might be an animal that you could successfully catch, slaughter, and so cook it. Drones overhead flying because of some spy some ridiculous lady that called you out because she was sick and tired of eating salty crackers. Prayer can make you invisible to those drones. Prayer can make drones literally hover overhead and helicopters with you looking at them and your clothes blowing because of the wind of the helicopter. And yet strangely, it just hovers, drones hovering in your camp, go back up in the sky again and leave like they saw nothing. Prayer in the tribulation, I believe, will achieve stuff like that for hidden saints. If you are full of prayer, God, His word, no letter of His word will fall to the ground. He remains faithful when you're faithless, for He cannot deny Himself. His word is true through and through. So therefore, if you pray earnestly, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, then I will come down from heaven and I will forgive their sins and I will heal your land. So therefore, if you earnestly pray effective, fervent prayers of righteous men and righteous women, they will avail supernatural protection in the tribulation, where it is that the very person who called you out for being in a camp of 500 people, because by Antichrist system, her drones and her helicopters will fly overhead and they will come to your camp, but they will see no one. However, once the helicopters go, you will know that you've been compromised, that somebody called you out, and so you will have to move. But when you're moving as a camp, and you have time to carry as much as you can with you to where it is that you're going. And so the one betrayer among you, Judas, does not succeed to take all of you to the guillotine, does not succeed to take all of you to the enhanced interrogation. God knows what strength you have. He knows what you can take. And I did a video where I was explaining that y'all don't know what in all the Antichrist system is likely going to do to you to make you recant your faith, because he's not so much gunning for your heads like John the Baptist, he's gunning for your apostasy. So if you can recant the name of God, then by all means, meaning that his system, it's highly unlikely going to just merely behead you, because you know that to live is Christ, but to die is gain, and precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of His saints. They're probably going to enhance interrogate you first, flay you like you're some chicken. Do you understand? And only once you have been basically depleted in your strength to endure more torture, then only will they finish you off with a guillotine. So the sight in Jafela at the guillotines is just going to be that much more ghoulish because of just the state of the people when they finally do get their heads chopped off. So people that could say, I capitulate, because they don't want to be flayed. Prayer can protect them from ever finding themselves in a position to be interrogated, tortured until they recant. The Lord can keep them alive in largely safe terrain without being in the hands of the Antichrist system. However, having to deal with stuff like I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I don't have enough clothes because it's cold, it's winter. But they won't have to deal with being cut, fingers chopped off, just to make them recant. They won't have to deal with that because that they won't be able to take. The Lord knows what you can take. So when you pray, you can be protected from ever finding yourself in a position to likely end up taking the mark of the beast, because I'm not going to have every last one of my fingers chopped off one by one while I wait for this person to then chop off my toes and then cut off my ears and then my nose while I'm still completely conscious and alive, and then only take my head. I'm not taking it. I'm not doing it. I'm not absolutely doing anything of that nature. So therefore, God, please take me. There is a tribulation movie that I was watching. I think it's in the image of the beast. It was done like in 1982 or something. In that movie, one of the women gets caught by some Antichrist policeman, and as soon as this Antichrist policeman catches her, she's a married woman, her husband is in their camp. As soon as he catches her, she looks up to the sky and is like, God, please don't let me endure what they want to endure me through. And as soon as she said that, her spirit left her body and she died. And then this policeman was there saying, hey, get up, where are you? Hey, come back. His intention was to interrogate her to give up her camp so that they can take all of them to some main site. And as soon as he caught her, because they were running, as soon as he caught her, she begged God to free her from the temptation to give up the camp, and she then died right there on the spot. God can do that for you in the tribulation when He knows what you can take and what you can't take, but it requires prayer. And that's what in this season of mine I have also taken to. I have all this time been praying and a warrior in that regard. But I have never prayed like I am right now, because it's towards the end of my sorrow. It's towards the end of my pain, because I'm about to go in the sky. Because of the importance of praying to be made invisible from occult practitioners, of falling apart, capitulating, doing strange stuff. Because of the importance of it, God then reignited the passion for gospel music, and upon mixing, putting together gospel music in my ear with praying. I'm able to push hours of prayer, and now I am so deep in the spirit when I'm in prayer that I can't even I can't even bring myself to open a game of Candy Crush and pass time with it anymore because I don't need to. I used to pass time with Candy Crush. I don't anymore because now I am in perfect communion in that spiritual state with God and no Candy Crush. So for hours I'm just swaying and praying and praising, and within that space I get dreams, not dreams, but I get visions upon visions, words of knowledge, and also comfort pertaining what's actually happening in the spirit realm. Because Satan, when you are just sitting here, mom, watching a show on TV, that's when he plants ugly ideas that don't belong to you. His minions, when they work him tooth and nail to cause you to commit suicide, that's when those suggestions come into your head. Do you understand? But when you are communing in the Spirit of God and you are basically in heaven at this particular juncture, the lies of Satan get shown for what they are. It is in this season when the Lord shows me the suggestions of suicide, they're only trying to get you to kill yourself because you are burning them. I then get visions of fires, of nukes, of bombs, of dynamite going off. The Lord showing me that's basically what you're doing in the spiritual realm. You are basically throwing bombs, you are detonating nukes, you are throwing ICBMs, you are throwing dynamite into their camps, and they're exploding. Last night when I was praying, I had a dream of a whole bunch of witches in an exodus climbing up a mountain, just trying to get as far away as possible from where I was. And they were all covered in black plumage, black feathers. In other words, the astral projector. Yeah, they were haughtily hags. It was women climbing up a mountain trying to run away from the radius of the tape. And then I get another understanding in the spirit of a whole bunch of them talking, saying, hi, at this rate we're gonna have to let her move to the US because we can't let her carry on like this because she's gonna destroy all our plans. Essentially they understand that this here that I'm praying against is a territorial entity, and for as long as I'm still in this territory that is South Africa, I stand to uproot something that they need in order to push all of their darkness to a point where people holding me hostage trying to make sure that I cannot leave South Africa are trying to say, let her go to the US and rattle the principalities there. Let her move. We gotta let her go. We have to let her leave South Africa because if she carries on praying like this, and some other new plans are going to come in place and we're going to get overwhelmed. We're going to get taken over. We're going to get cooed. So literally we're having an argument. Some saying, no, we can't let her leave the country. She's our servant, our slave. And others being like, if we don't let her go, she's going to uproot everything we work for. And years of work that we invested in this structure that we are running are going to be thrown to the dogs. Are you really about to let that go? She's just one woman. Let her go. Let her go. Where I'm concerned, they're at odds. And the tapelo tse killing what's on. And last night, like I told you guys, the way that killing's so impactful when I'm in the space. There were witches climbing road queues, like churning in single file, vested in plumage, black feathers, going up a mountain, running away from where I was at, separating themselves by great distance from me because they were disoriented in such a big blast radius from where it is that I was at that they literally went up mountains. That's what the Spirit shows me is going on in the cosmological realm. And when then the Holy Spirit shows me, well, that's what's going on, I realized that all the whispers of sweet nothings during the day coming into my ear about how I'm gonna end up dying, this is gonna finish me off, I must just settle or else whatnot. Those were threats from the devil that when you are in a season of idleness, or when you are not in so much spiritual, when you're not in so much spiritual fever, when you're not in that much spiritual depth, when you're not in prayer, like hard knock intense prayer, he takes for granted that you are full of doubt as a dusty human being. As a dusty human being, you are full of doubt. And so because you're full of doubt, Satan can then quickly make you commit suicide. Quickly make you settle for a stupid man. Quickly make you do something. But it is in this praying season that all that which was the darkness of the day that I saw suddenly gets put in perspective. And the Lord is like, the reason why and why there's so much witchcraft on you operating in one sitting is because, honey, you are making witches climb up mountains to flee from the blast radius of your prayer. They want to use anything at all to make you stop. And it annoys them, the prospect of having to negotiate what to do with you, because they wanted to win and they wanted to believe that their power was mighty in comparison to mine. I told you, greater is he that is in you than he who is in this world. So long story short, me explaining all that about my prayer life is me trying to help you understand how you're going to deal in the tribulation, how you're gonna survive, how you're gonna cope. Not only does this prayer show me what's really happening, I get loosed a lot of times from strong men, strongholds, witchcraft that they cast on me. I break those spells, and as soon as they're broken, I feel the relief straight away. I feel the release, and so I'm happy, I'm jocose, I'm jovial. And it is that joy that overwhelms the macabre, the sense of foreboding that is just going to be perpetually encircling you in the tribulation. You fetch it with praise, you fetch it with worship, and you also fetch it with such deep consecrated prayer that the Lord will just flood you with understanding as to what you're doing in the cosmos, and you will see the quick wins. Like I said, the example of the helicopter overhead able to literally flash you, seeing you right there in a camp with a fire burning, and yet nonetheless strangely fly right past you. You were found, your camp was discovered indeed, but not in the spirit. Sorry, not according to God. He has blinded the wicked from seeing you. And so if at all the Lord can do that for you in the tribulation, you therefore have a prerogative to see that even though there's nothing in it for you, to pray to God pertaining a new car, a new house. You have everything to pray for pertaining your souls, coverage and protection. People look at me and they say that I have no answered prayer. There is a confusion in the occult pertaining that. The fact that I don't have my husband, my children, my whatnot, all these earthly things that I asked for, I don't have them. And yet, when I pray to be eradicated, alleviated from death spells, when I pray to get rid of witches, to make them walk away from my case, to make them hit the ground, when I pray to essentially be relieved from the slew of spiritual attack that I get given as immediately as I bash my knees on the floor, as immediately as I get into praise and worship, as immediately as I get into consecration with the Lord, serious communion with Him, I am already conquering structures because I asked. So those who say that I don't have answered prayer, so why hold on to this God? If you were to come into my house, if you come to my house any time, if you were to come into my spiritual house, you would know just how faithful my God is. Because every day, every single day in this little house at the prairie on a mountaintop that's isolated from all of society, every single day, not even week or even couple of days, but day, I get people throwing snakes, spiders, flies, mosquitoes. I'm speaking real actual critters. I get frogs thrown into my space, crocodiles. That's just the animals. Every so often I see, black cats, whole bunch of them. That's just the animals. Other day I saw, please don't interrupt me. The other day I saw, there's the activity going on outside, so the other day I saw, I'm distracted now, but I have to remember, people, right? I've already told you about the black cats, I've told you about the frogs. I need to go and shower anyway, but I'm almost done. People, like I said, I get thrown in here random animals, and then people, men and women, but let me first start with the men, because they're worth the mention. Naked. I have had recently there was a TV thrown in here, and upon getting closer to see what's in the TV, it was a porn movie, like full frontals and everything. A whole XXX thing was playing on this TV. And another dream I saw a man lying on a bed naked, happy, and in front of him was a TV with porn, and he used one of my family members to bring me into this room the way that a madam brothel would bring a prostitute girl to a client. On some humor this man, and if you don't feel energized to help him along, just watch that movie over there, then you'll get happy. And then you'll go and you'll help him along. In my dream, I was deeply tempted, because my dreams are always like that. In waking life, I wake up and I'm disgusted. I rebuke the thing I saw. I'm grossed out, but in my dream, I am lured and I'm deeply considering it because it's their witchcraft. The intention is to make the suggestion. And in my dream, I was deeply, deeply tempted to go on right ahead and lay with this idiot man. An old guy, the guy over 60, the one who has no future, the one that's already written off according to God. Yeah, it was him in my dream, Gamukaba, lying there naked, waiting for me to just offer him services, and I was deeply considering it. There then came a woman in the room trying to convince me to do it, and then I made a decision very reluctantly. Whatever. I'm not reluctant. I find him disgusting. I made a decision reluctantly in my dream to not humor him, because I believe in Jesus. I leave that room, I then come back again because I was so taken aback by the porn movie that he was playing in this room where he was at. I felt so aroused by it that I went back deeply considering again to do this thing. When I woke up, I was so bereft. When the same evening when I was praying, I cried heavily over this level of sexual attack, sexual abuse in my dreams. So I see, like I said, lots of sexual suggestion gets thrown in men that are naked in my dreams. Me feeling some kind of hot and bothered way that I just don't feel in waking life. I've had a lesbian thrown at me in a dream where I was in bed making out with her, and I was convicted that I should not be like this with a woman. These are things that get thrown into my spiritual understanding because of people's witchcraft. When I'm just either walking around in dreams and in visions, or when I'm sleeping in dreams. Guys, like that's why I say that's the stuff, the suggestion that I get from men. With men, it's sexual. A lot of it is just sexual, like lots and lots of sexual dreams. And a night before I was sleeping from around 8 to about 11 before I would take a shower. I took a nap because I couldn't sleep earlier on. And in this nap, I dreamt about a celebrity, a very big, haughty one in this country, because these celebrities involved in cults, you have no idea why, like a regular person, a regular Christian that is no one to everyone. If they are hot and feverish and bothered, these celebrities that belong to cults will know them because they tend to know Christians. And I've had dreams of so many celebs all up in my grill from this country that I'm just like, I don't watch anything of theirs. Last time Gabatina was 7 years ago. Why would I dream about them? And the Lord is like, it's because with a ritual. Yeah, if you're a hot and bothered hard knock saint, that moves mountains. Even your country's president, if he's a cult member, you're gonna get known by businessmen, businesswomen, celebrities. And I dreamt about a very prolific guy celebrity. He's so good looking and he looks like such a good guy. There's an advert of him on YouTube that's doing the rounds. I get born in a ribbon. I'm like, yes, like, oh, you're evil. When I look at him, I'm like, you're evil. You are so evil. You are just freaking nefarious. And yet, cute. But you are evil. Anyway, this guy, I dream about him and another celebrity. This guy is a South African celebrity. The man that he was with in the dream is an American celebrity. And the two of them were working out, okay? Both of them are gym buffs in waking life. You can tell that they work out, right? And they were both looking at me, like when you're doing something and then looking to see if someone is looking at you do it because you're trying to basically get their attention. Yeah.